Yes. Hello, everyone. We'll give everyone a minute to join and then we will get started. Meanwhile, the conversation you're all missing out on, and we're going to change the SIP today to be an equine show.
Yes.
And we're,
Oh, it's a ride.
yeah. It is. I have I've referred to horses and conversations that I've had within the industry, and I definitely, it's a ride. And you think about falling off the horse, and there's so much that goes into things that you're taught when you grow up with horses. So, for all of you who are joining us before we get started, so Laird, who is one of the founders of iEmergent, is not able to join us today because she's at a horse show. And Natalie and myself are both horse girls. So we grew up with horses, still ride horses, have horses on our own properties. And Bernard was saying he thought he was getting away from the equine talk for a minute because his daughter is at a horse show, but we brought him right back to it. So
Yep.
we'll go ahead and get started. So, welcome everyone to the SIP, where conversation fuels connection, collaboration, sparks innovation, and lender members and partners come together to exchange ideas and tackle industry challenges, much like catching up over a cup of coffee or an adult beverage. The SIP is a space designed for meaningful discussion that drive progress. As at the Mortgage Collaborative, our mission is clear. It's to foster a collaborative and forward-thinking environment that empowers our members to grow, thrive, and making a lasting impact on the companies and the communities that they serve. And today, we're here to do just that, sharing insights and a real-world case study of strategy and highlights the power of working together. So grab a cup of your favorite beverage, caffeine or alcohol, we do not judge, and let's elevate the industry together. First, I have a big thank you to everyone for taking the time to join us today. And it's hard to believe that it's June, and this is our June 3rd episode. This episode is sponsored by iEmergent, a new paradigm in market data. Leading the conversation today is Bernard Nossuli. Did I say your last name right?
Yeah, that works.
All right, tell me.
Nossuli.
Nossuli. Just needed to finesse the ending there. He is the CEO by day, and I found out he's a stand-up comedian by night. We'll see if he can slip some jokes in there. And joining Bernard is Natalie, and she told me how to say her last name, and I did not write it phonetically, so I'm going to say I don't know. Go ahead, Natalie.
It's Zvanya.
Zvanya. And Natalie is the Chief Business Development Information Officer at CNF Mortgage. So, welcome to you both. Now that I've butchered both of your names.
All good. Great introduction.
That's why I choose to go by first names. It's just easy that way. It's Natalie like Cher. Bernard, let's kick things off. For those unfamiliar with iEmergent, can you share a little bit about the company, what solutions you provide, and the challenge that you help within the mortgage industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a forecasting, analytics, and advisory company. What does that mean? It means we let mortgage lenders know where mortgages are going to happen anywhere in the US, from states all the way down to census tracts or neighborhoods, and obviously how to capture more of that opportunity. So we have a dynamic mapping platform that we've created that allows lenders to see their markets, and really in this case, picture is worth 1,000 words. When you can see your markets, you can see your branches, you can see where you've been originating loans, you can quickly identify where you are lending, but just as importantly, you can quickly identify where you're not lending or where you potentially have gaps in coverage in your market and how to address those.
And I can attest to the visualization. It is a very visual product, which I think a lot of time lends to greater understanding. Natalie, thanks again for joining us. So besides being an equestrian, tell us about yourself and your role at CNF Mortgage and what your key responsibilities are.
Yeah, I actually had a fun fact here that I show horses, but it already came up. So I've been in the mortgage space now for 10 years and been with CNF now for 5. And within my role, I've worked within the wholesale side, mini correspondent, and then now I'm on the retail side working with about 55 loan officers at CNF Mortgage. And then I work with another 50 or so loan officers through our Lender Solutions division, where we work with community banks and credit unions. So my whole role is strategically growing our operation. So whether it's CNF or Lender Solutions, it's around recruiting, retention, community lending initiatives, growing referral source volume, anything that surrounds business growth is my area of importance.
It's a very big title, and it sounds like a tremendous amount of responsibility. iEmergent is packed with data-driven insights. Can you tell me, Natalie, how does CNF Mortgage leverage iEmergent's platform to turn that data into action? And before you answer that question, just as a reminder to everyone out there, um, Christine Buff, I want to encourage audience participation within the chat. And Christine, there is video here, so might want to try jumping off, jumping back in. That might reboot you. This will also be cast live on LinkedIn at 3 p.m. Eastern as well. So please, any questions that you have for the team, make sure that you jump in. Natalie, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to take a step back and highlight my relationship with iEmergent. I've been with iEmergent as a partner for about 3 to 4 years now, and it's been a great relationship. I really feel strongly about the platform. I think that there's a lot of different ways that you can leverage the data, which we'll be talking about within these question and answers. But the first thing that I wanted to highlight is what we originally intended to use it for, which was for analyzing our HMDA data, understanding gaps, and understanding the compliance areas of where we're not lending, right? So an aspect of iEmergent that is wonderful is it takes all of your HMDA data, so everything that you report each year, and then it helps plot it on a map, and it will actually generate different views for you to identify where your gaps are and where you need to lend. And then within those spaces, it will help identify forecasting of where future purchases will be. So it helps create more strategic direction of where you need to focus your time and energy. But I've used iEmergent in pretty much every business development way you can think of. So recruiting, business development, referral sources, pulling loan officer lists, pulling real estate agent lists with email addresses. I mean, the opportunities are truly endless with what you can do. And that's hopefully what I'll pick apart today. But the biggest areas were, of course, HMDA and the coverage gaps. We have had a special purpose credit program. And that was really key for us to understand the active listings within a specific community. So if you are on this call and you have a special purpose credit program that is in a specific census tract, iEmergent allows you to be able to create a map, if you will, of those specific census tracts where you can pull listings each week that show properties that are eligible for this specific initiative. And so that was really key for us to then give that list to our referral sources in the community to say, do you have a buyer that could potentially buy a home that qualifies for this initiative? So that was really, really key as well. And then the other piece that we use it heavily for is recruit lists. So being able to export lists of a specific volume amount within a specific census tract or within an LMI, a low to moderate income community. So lots of pieces from there is really high level perspective of how we leverage the data.
All right, that's amazing. A lot of information packed into a very small solution. So, Bernard, the market solution space seems to be increasingly crowded for market data. What sets iEmergent apart from its competitors?
Yeah, so actually that's an interesting question because I think we accidentally found ourselves in that space. We first started with the whole visualization tool and saying, look, there's nothing. The whole reason we were founded was our actually my father-in-law was an ex Wells Fargo employee and a senior leader, and he was frustrated with the lack of forward-looking thinking and forward-looking data in the industry, and that's why he left to start iEmergent. And so the strategy was really paramount for our company. And over time, we've evolved, but that was the genesis of it. And we eventually started with the dynamic mapping and being able to expose and see markets anywhere in the US. And then we realized that, yeah, that's good, but alone by itself isn't enough. And so that's when we started adding some of those more tactical data sets, the loan officer production, the real estate agent production, things like that. And by doing that, we found that, hey, we've kind of backed into this area, this space in the market. But it's kind of, I kind of compare it to, so there are, those what is it, those single lens reflex cameras, the ones with the big lenses. It seems like there's an arms race to make, the bigger camera with the biggest lens and the more zoom. And then the iPhone came along and it was like, yeah, okay, we have a camera. It's not as fancy as this, but guess what? It does 1,000 other things. And that's how I feel like, that's what we do. That's what we offer is we have these other things and we kind of built this camera in order to say, all right, yeah, we can compete there too, but really there's a ton of value with some of these other things that we're building. So really, I mean, to answer your question, Jody, the forecasting is still unique to us, being able to show lenders where mortgages are going to happen and where to focus their resources. And then being able to identify not just the right agents or the right LOs, but the agents and LOs in a specific area of your market that can help you move the needle. And then finally, the community partners, being able to identify other agencies in the community, whether they're churches, schools, hospitals, VA centers, libraries, that can help the lender get to the end borrowers in a better way.
I want to point out one piece there just to put some things together for those who are listening. So, when Bernard is speaking of being able to look at a loan officer that is in a specific space doing a specific kind of lending, he's talking about recruiting and being able to go, break into different areas because a lot of times people want to work with their local community. So if there's a loan officer in the community that you want to start lending in, sometimes your barrier to entry is much easier if you choose the path of recruiting the loan officer that's already doing the business there. So just putting the pieces together as a recruiting tool for iEmergent in the workspace. And Natalie, you've used various data solutions in the past. What makes iEmergent stand out in your mind?
Well, first and foremost, I would say the people that run it. So Bernard, I work with Bernard pretty much exclusively. Laird is amazing. I just work with Bernard on a daily basis. There has not been a time that I haven't emailed him and with some off the wall request, and he's come back with not only a yes, but also a video on how to do it. And it's 2 minutes or less. It's at 10 o'clock at night when I'm working, right, trying to get this thing done so that I can move on to my next project. And so because I have that partner, because I have somebody that I can ask something to and he responds and with an answer, it's made my life that much easier. And it's also made me trust the system that much more and made me ask the question versus saying, you know what, no, it's a compliance tool, or oh, it just is used for HMDA information or just used for this. It really isn't. Several data providers take similar data, right? So it's not unique. The forecasting is, but a lot of the HMDA data or the public record data, a lot of different sources have access to those things. It's how iEmergent utilizes it and how they present it back to you that is key. I can export an Excel sheet and it includes contact information. I'm able to then create a pivot table based on my needs. Market Smart is extremely intuitive. The only comment that I would say is it can be overwhelming and daunting at first, but you need a champion on your team to really learn how to use it, and you need a champion that's going to be a partner with Bernard. And when you do that, it creates a great relationship. You also have unlimited seats, which is not typical. And Bernard, hopefully that is accurate. That's how ours is. Yes. And so you pay a fee, but then you can give access to pretty much anybody in your company, which is a huge value in today's society. I mean, I have not seen a technology that allows that, you know, and so I'm able to now offer this tool to my peers and my team to help grow and learn. And maybe they can identify the tool in a different way than I'm not using it. So truly the people and the sheer capabilities of the tool is what sets them apart.
One of the things that and challenges the mortgage lenders face today is we love to layer technology on top of technology, creating a complex system that can be a nightmare for the tech teams and really just even for individuals to know where to go to for what. So, Bernard, do lenders need multiple market data tools beyond iEmergent to meet the industry's needs?
No, we've made a genuine attempt to become, a one-stop shop for the industry. Again, as Natalie mentioned, you can examine your HMDA data. We can go further and do specific fair lending reports to see if there are deficiencies anywhere. But again, the other thing is, within a market, how can you bridge some of those gaps? Is it reorienting existing LOs? Is it recruiting new LOs? Is it opening branches closer to the opportunity? So all of that information you can do within MarketSmart and what we offer. And then, we've come out with some new BI dashboards that also allow us to get to the same information, but potentially in a more intuitive way. So that if you are recruiting and you just need to find out, hey, I'm going to be on a call with this prospect. Let me find out, his or her production within the last 12 months. You can very easily, within a few clicks, do that. And so that's something that we just launched within the past 3 or 4 months and has been very well received.
Yeah, it seems like a strategic data source. So many times, operators of mortgage companies and owners, they think instinct is enough. And I would challenge that in this type of market, you need to be more strategic and have data-driven insights to be able to guide you as opposed to a gut feeling, because we are in ungut checked territory, it seems. Um, so Natalie, like from your a lender's perspective, what are your thoughts around, do we need to layer tech on top of tech? Do we need to layer data on top of data? Or is iEmergent a place that you can get everything that you need from a data perspective, market data perspective?
My middle name is Cheap and Cheerful. So if there's a way to be able to cut a cost, we're going to cut it. I feel like the more technologies you have, the more diluted you can become, and the more difficult it can be to have this integrated infrastructure. And we have a lot of different technologies, and we analyze that. And part of my role is to understand what the technology does, what the capabilities are, what the cost is, and then can we get rid of it? Can it be absorbed into another technology? And so I constantly am looking at that. Our whole team is looking at that. That's a concerted effort across the board at CNF. iEmergent is different in that it keeps expanding. So every time it comes up for review, every time we analyze it, it has something that not any other vendor that we've experienced has. But now it's creating things that we have in another vendor that is now available in iEmergent. And so it's become more valuable to me. It has now, as Bernard mentioned, has these BI dashboards. And the BI dashboards is taking the place of a recruiting tool that I would originally have given to a loan officer to say, okay, go out and look at your real estate agents, go out and look at recruiting opportunities. And so, based on that, it's now expanded into something that I can monetize across the board for my whole organization. I can give a seat to all my loan officers Now I'm able to provide a value add to my team with no additional cost. So
Right.
that's fantastic. And that truly speaks to the value that iEmergent brings, because they're thinking about that lender's perspective. They're thinking about this market and how difficult it can be to provide a new tool to someone, but they want the tool to be used. And so I think that's fantastic. And that really sets iEmergent apart.
Yeah, awesome. And you mentioned using iEmergent's platform for business development, recruiting, and identifying referral sources. Can you share an example of how the data has helped CNF Mortgage uncover unique lending opportunities and solving business challenges?
Yeah, so this is an area that I'm actually going to break it apart. So I'm going to take a little bit longer than I normally would. And for those of you guys that are in the chat or have questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer any question that you guys have. I'm pretty sure I've tried it if you have that question. So when I look at business development, I look at recruiting new talent, retaining talent, as well as identifying additional sources to help grow that talent. So those are the spheres that we look in. Recruiting is recruiting, right? I want to look at volume. I want to look at where they're lending, what their sphere looks like. A lot of times their sphere, meaning sphere of influence, as well as what their pie chart of their volume. What kind of programs are they using, so that we can understand the fit. But iEmergent allows me to see all of that data that you're familiar with in any other provider that has that. But it also is, in my opinion, a little bit more accurate. It has a little bit more clarity of what I'm looking for. It will pull if they're brokering information or brokering loans, and it will really pare down what builders they're working with too. It'll show builders, it'll show referral sources. So from a recruiting standpoint, I would say the tool is just as good, if not better, than competitors. So easy. If you're thinking of a recruiting tool, iEmergent can do it. Great. When we talk about growing a sphere of influence, there are so many things that you can do. So I'm going to start with referral sources. So number one is I can export a list of referral sources within a specific area that has contact information. So the benefit is I have an entire contact list right at my fingertips. Secondarily, I can pull all active listings of referral sources in a specific area. So I can build a profile for a loan officer of their sphere of referral sources, and on some sort of recurring basis, pull their active listings. And so that is something that we do to then give to the loan officer, so they can pull listing flyers. They can see if it fits in the single special purpose credit program. They can see if it's in a USDA territory or in a territory that's maybe specific to a community lending program. So that has really been key with seeing where those listings are. That's been a huge focus of ours, as well as you can see if it's in a low to moderate income census tract, if you're trying to penetrate a specific community there. The other piece that we use it for is identifying new opportunities for business of spheres of influence. So Bernard touched on it for a moment, but I really want to highlight the benefits here. If I'm looking to get into a specific community and I'm looking to get to the customer first, because that is a huge goal of ours, how do we get to the customer first and build those relationships? So when you think of DEI or community lending, that really is a huge focus for us at CNF, and getting in front of customers with those community partners. So Bernard has built a tool that allows me to say, okay, in Central Virginia, which is where we're located, show me all the churches. Show me all the universities or schools. Show me all the centers of influence that I can then contact to host an event, to get in front of, to be able to talk about mortgage opportunities to their employees or to their customers. So that, I mean, you can spend one opportunity there, and that should help generate and spark a 6-month campaign. So you really need to just look at your data and identify, okay, this is my gap and this is where I want to go. And then from there, it's where does it fit into those buckets? Is it recruiting? Is it retention? Or is it growing your talent? And then you can funnel it back from there. It also has a lot of builder information. So because it's pulling from closed loan information, I can see then who my top builders are. How many transactions did they do? Would it be a good fit for CP, or is it a secondary financing? They already have they have money, so we just are going to be a secondary financing lender. So it helps me have more strategic conversations because I can see how much business they're doing and what type of conversation I need to have with that specific builder. So that is a very high level of how we utilize it, but I'd be happy to answer specific strategies if someone has a specific question of how they want to go about recruiting or retention or referral sources.
Yeah, we do have some words of encouragement and positivity around iEmergent, so make sure that you check out the chat from Julie. And then Bernard, among iEmergent's suite of solutions, which product do the lenders rely on the most?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, with the new dashboards just being released, I think a lot of folks are gravitating towards that. It's, you know, a lot of it is the same information that you find in MarketSmart, in our flagship product, but just in a different packaging. So just point and click, easier to access, and doing that. But one of the advantages of the dynamic mapping is the ability to build a specific custom market within a market. So what I mean is, yep, we know here's Atlanta, here's the Atlanta market. But based on the lender's needs, I can identify, oh, you know what, if you're going after Hispanic borrowers, you need to be in central northeastern Atlanta. That is a hot zone. And now I can create a MOZ, a mortgage opportunity zone, basically a custom market that looks at just that area. And now, instead of looking at all of the loan officers who are doing business there or doing business in all of Atlanta, I can look at the LOs doing business just in that custom market. I can look at just the agents who are listing properties just in that the market.
That's a big key right there, is identifying real estate agents and spheres of influence in a specific targeted location. Huge.
So that Bernard's just like throwing out adding more acronyms to a very acronym heavy industry, but keep going.
Yeah, no, it's just a, you know, a way of thinking, hey, instead of having to divide my resources throughout the market, I can be much more intentional and focus on where I can get the higher return. That's the key.
And is there, like, conversely, is there a solution that you feel that lenders are not leveraging enough?
I think you know that aspect of it, because it does hold a ton of value. I think that is potentially underutilized. There are some lenders and some clients that are very comfortable and very familiar with the tool and can do that. But it's getting into a mindset. It's almost shifting the paradigm of saying, okay, all we need are good LOs, period, end of story. That's our strategy. Okay, let's expand on that. Let's say, okay, if you're trying to actually reach a specific demographic or a specific borrower group or a specific area, then you need to go beyond just hire an LO. It's where are we going to hire LO? It's with which agents are we going to partner in order to get more business? Again, it's being very intentional and very selective, being very surgical with your resources to gain share.
Awesome. So I can't believe it, but we are getting close to the end of time. But Bernard, if a lender wants to learn more about iEmergent, where can they find you and your team?
I'm typing in the chat our website. There's my contact information as well. But yeah, absolutely, that's what you can use. And let's put a .com instead of a .om on there.
All right, awesome. And where's the next stand-up that we can find you at?
Yeah, that should have read it's stand-up comedian in my head, because I think I am. But
Well, we need to work on something for Boston in
yeah,
September.
be a tight 5. We'll see what we can do.
Yes, this has been a fantastic conversation. I really appreciate both of your insights in today's show. I gained a lot from it. Hopefully the audience did too. Thank you to iEmergent for sponsoring this episode. and to Bernard and Natalie for lending their expertise. And of course, thanks to all of you who took the time to join us today in helping move us forward in the industry. We'll be back next Tuesday, June the 10th. Again, that's really hard to say that we're in June already at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those who are not members, we'll be casting live at 3 p.m. on LinkedIn. So thank you all for being a part of the SIP today. Let's keep the dialogue going and continue to raise the bar in the industry. Cheers.
Thank
Bye.
you.